This is an unusual haunted house. Every year, it would appear somewhere in the world. Legend says a haunted house has a total of 6 rooms, but no one has ever managed to reach the 7th. For friends who didn't leave an evil plan to explore the haunted house, but the door was already crowded with explorers from around the world. 8 people entered the house together. The first level door warned, "Beware of strange creatures." Upon entering the room, what greeted them were 8 statues. At first, they were slightly curious, but upon closer inspection, I felt a deep sense of dread because all 8 statues. Curly predicted that this was the moment they entered the door. The team scanned the statues using 3D technology. Someone tried to take out their phone to photograph them, but I discovered there were no signs in the room at all. Everyone was intensely curious about the statues. Only the fatherly figure standing in the corner remained calm. Suddenly, the lights went out. Less than 2 minutes later, they came back on. But strangely, all the statues had transformed. One black hand split open their heads. Only the short-haired statue remained unchanged. At that moment, the door to the next room opened. The statues seemed to offer guidance to them. They could choose to leave the game. Nothing would happen after that. Still, curiosity won over most people. Only one woman chose to stop exploring. The second room was more enclosed. A couple of newcomers did not notice anything unusual at first. With the light illuminating the space, a masked man appeared in the corner. He walked forward, carefully observing everyone, and finally stopped beside the girl Xiaomei. I gave him a secret signal, and he then moved toward the doorway near the couple. Suddenly, the lights dimmed again, waiting until they shone brightly. The husband of the woman had disappeared, leaving a long blood trail on the floor. The woman panicked and lost her life. I immediately chose to exit the game, the first reaction of players. These incidents were additional perils set by the haunted house. This was the 3rd level, and the door had also opened. A handsome, fatherly figure spoke at the end about the situation, asking everyone to leave quickly, as it was not too late yet. The implication was that there would be no return in the next level. Shorthair thought he was also an actor. Following hesitantly, Xiaomei's black-haired sister, her best friend, asked the masked man what he had just said. Xiaomei explained that the other side really called her by her nickname, but this name belonged only to me. Only her deceased father knew. To be precise, he then proceeded to enter the 3rd level. This was a revolving door. Only one person could enter at a time, and each room was independent. Everyone was forced to split up here. Xiaomei saw a long corridor. The corridor was narrow and had a very intimidating figure. He was extremely scared and ran quickly into the 4th room, which had a large screen. Above, a video of my father's suicide continued to play. Xiaomei also felt trapped by this, as he had to be home by 10 p.m. If it weren't for my game, going home quickly might have prevented all this from happening. But what made him even more curious was how the haunted house could know his private matters in this way. At this moment, the 5th door opened. There was no exit yet. A moment later, he opened the door to the 5th room. But I was shocked when I realized that the room layout was exactly like my own house. In the living room, there was even a statue that resembled my father sitting there. At that moment, the television was showing scenes from my childhood, happy memories of playing with my father. He watched the strange TV in disbelief. Suddenly, the statue behind him came to life. It moved closer to Xiaomei. Everything happening now mirrored what had occurred in every haunted house he had ever visited. What was truly terrifying was not the haunted house itself, but that the statue could reach into the deepest parts of the player's heart. The statue offered Xiaomei into its hand. Xiaomei was terrified and immediately said she didn't want to play anymore. After listening to her plea, the statue let him go like an employee, but told Xiaomei she had to pass through all the rooms before she could go home. Xiaomei didn't care what he said. She opened the door and entered. I found myself outside the haunted house, while my sister, Hey Jia, had been waiting here for a long time. Hey Jia continued. After opening room number 5, darkness surrounded them. In the middle was a large white ball. If touched by hand, it glowed and heated up, but I didn't know what effect it had. The 2 of them waited for 2 companions in a car. I waited until the next day, but they still had not come out. No matter what, the 2 of them had to get home. When Hey Jia reached the haunted house doorway, she saw the number 6 on the door, which startled her. Could the city be room 6? Xiaomei didn't notice any number on the door, but when she walked into the room, I climbed up the house and witnessed an unbelievable scene. My deceased father appeared in the house. At this moment, Hey Jia also came to Xiaomei's house, and my father recognized Hey Jia. My father, as usual, prepared Xiaomei's favorite eggs. Hey Jia was very quiet about this. Then he pulled Xiaomei out. He realized the whole city was room 6 in the haunted house, and now they were still trapped inside. They truly hadn't escaped. The father and there must be a recreated person, because Hey Jia didn't believe that someone who had already died could come back to life. He tried to guide Xiaomei to find a way out with him, but Xiaomei refused. She wanted to stay and make sure why my father had committed suicide that night. He and her mother had been left alone. I also learned a piece of information from a conversation between them. After Xiaomei's father committed suicide, when Xiaomei needed the most consolation, Hey Jia failed to show up. Hey Jia also felt deeply wronged by this, seeing that Xiaomei could not be comforted. Hey Jia had to leave alone to find other friends. In the evening, my father accompanied Xiaomei to the swimming pool. He spoke of his childhood memories, happy moments taking my daughter swimming. But when Xiaomei entered the pool, something strange happened. The first pool was 2 meters deep, but after submerging, I could not see the bottom. There was an even deeper part underneath. After Xiaomei lay down, my father opened the door of his room, walked to Xiaomei, and touched her cheek with his hand. In Xiaomei's mind, memories of my mother surged up, It turned out that my father was absorbing Xiaomei's memories, just as he had absorbed memories before. The black water in the pool began to bubble up in the underground room. Then Xiaomei's mother emerged from the object. After my father came to the underground room and touched Xiaomei's mother's hand, it wasn't blood, but fragments of memory that looked like small berries. He greedily consumed them. Curly and Xiao Shui had just left the haunted house, waiting until Curly found his own home. I realized there was a woman inside, and there was another version of myself there. Through conversations between the two, Curly too turned out to be another part of him. In reality, Curly was shy and fearful. He had never touched a girl. He really wanted a girlfriend. Coming here, Curly too was a reflection of him. Room 6 of the haunted house could amplify the negative emotions of its contestants. They operated in such a way that they nourished their lives by consuming the memories of their original bodies. But Curly too had grander ambitions. He was dissatisfied with his own memories being incomplete. So he went to Curly 1 and killed him with a beer bottle, intending to replace him. He then returned to the real world and burned Curly 1's corpse and the statues in Room 1. Why was there only one? Because before his memories could be complete, he was killed by Curly 2. This set reached my brother. Hey Jia, why was he so quiet in Room 1? It turned out he had brought his wife with him. After the two had split up in Room 3 of the haunted house, my brother Heijia, in Room 6, didn't stay long. I soon found a path out by chance, but I had to wait until the haunted house disappeared. His wife didn't come out either. But this was the second time he entered the haunted house, and immediately he found his wife. Yet he realized that his wife tried to explain a trivial matter between the two of them, but my brother Heijin knew the truth. The wife in front of him had to be a fake. Room 6 was created based on my emotions, so he drew a pistol and killed the other person. Because whoever won here would lose part of their memory. My wife had been trapped here for a year, and her memories had likely been consumed. He then quickly found his own house. As expected, my wife had completely forgotten me, because her memories had been devoured by Room 6. This was the truth about my wife. On the other side, Xiaomei finally realized she had seen her mother in a trash bin, but in her heart, her mother's memories were still flickering in fragments. Eventually, she believed the person in front of her wasn't really her father. She wanted to get out, but was blocked by the other side. Desperate, she had to find a way to climb up the house to find safety. I wanted to open a window and run out, but the doors and windows were tightly shut. Outside the door, my father began to become angry. Xiaomei quickly opened her clothes and tried to hide. I opened my clothes and saw myself in the swimming pool. Since this was a fictional event, it was a kind of gap or hole. Xiaomei climbed the ladder and ran for her life. The disguised father behind her chased closely. Curly too had also found Heijia and Xiao Shui at this point. Some people still hadn't realized that the long hair they saw was fake. After some discussion, the three decided to search for Xiaomei and bring her with them. On the way to Xiaomei's house, they finally found Xiaomei running out. Heijia quickly rescued her. Xiaomei told Heijia about the loss of her memories, but Heijia didn't even flinch.
Because the white ball was an imaginary object of Black Sister Heijie, she was troubled by the death of her mother. I was always afraid of facing the fracture of life and death. So, while Chami's father had passed away, Heijie, the Black Sister, was the best companion. I couldn't stay with her. Ever since she discovered that the white ball could devour and fracture memories, she began contemplating using it, wanting to consume unbearable past events. Seeing that Heijie was asleep, Chiami wanted to go out and play. As a result, when I opened the window, I saw the boundary of the imaginary world. With Xiao Shui, the two of them prepared to find an exit. As they conversed, their relationship advanced one step further. They then reached the highest point of the city, and I realized the entire city was shrouded in energy, chaotic, yet resembling an exit. At this moment, my younger brother Huzi also found them. Confirming the place Chiami had seen, it was an escape route. It was decided we would depart on the next morning. Chiami couldn't sleep at night, so she went to Xiao Shui's room. The two quickly formed a romantic bond. The next day, the skin of Curly Nopi began to rot. This scene was caused by Xiao Shui, but he did not reveal the identity of Curly P. It turned out that Xiao Shui was also not entirely good, because in room 6, he was the only person who hadn't yet revealed himself. My younger brother, Heijie, prepared to bring his wife along. The departure was along the road, and everyone witnessed another strange scene. Inside an iron barrel, a family delicately trapped, but now they couldn't manage it much. It was best to find the exit first. Along the way, they encountered the villagers, strange in behavior, how children ate breakfast on the mother's head, absorbing her memories through the stalks. I walked like this until darkness. Finally, they reached the end of the imaginary world, crossing the cornfield in front of me. Everyone could return to the real world. Curly Nopi couldn't wait to enter, and the cornfield was full of starving humans. Lu was an imaginary person. Even though they could devour and fracture their own memories, for safety, everyone decided to leave the next day. At this point, Yeji seemed to hear some sounds. He walked into the city uncontrollably. Younger brother Husik knew this was the work of an imaginary person. He left his wife to watch over Curly P. Then he quickly captured and stopped Heijie, but younger brother Husik had just left. The imaginary man in the cornfield hastily began smoking like a dog, consuming the memories of Husik, but they weren't his real memories. Until the woman's head, they were all imprisoned beyond recognition. The imaginary person hadn't taken any real memories.
Huzi, who hurried back, comforted his wife with sorrow and concern for his son. Then he saw the rotting hand of Curly number 2 and realized this person wasn't real. To test his virtue, Huzi injected him into his stomach. The result was as expected. Curly 2 was imaginary, since they didn't feel any pain at all, ever since the original Curly number 1 had died. That's why his hand was decayed. At that time, Hey Jie's deceased wife covered Curly number 2. Then everyone departed immediately. All of this had been orchestrated by the fake father of Xiaomei. Watching it with your own eyes, as people walked through fields, Xiaomei's father suddenly blocked a path. He wanted some of Xiaomei's memories, refusing to let her leave. When he was about to extend his power towards Xiaomei, he paused. Perhaps it was a measure of a father's love within my mind that stopped his behavior, because in Xiaomei's memories, my father loved me very much.
Thus, the imaginary father in room 6 coincided with the moment I also received the inheritance of love from this father. He asked Xiaomi and another girl to leave quickly. They then reached the end of the cornfield. Here, indeed, I saw the haunted house again. But strangely, only 3 people emerged from the cornfield. Qiao Shui had disappeared. They would soon return to the real world. Brother Hughes stopped immediately. Now his wife had departed. In despair, my younger brother decided to stay behind and destroy this place. With the experience of this final cleansing, they soon reached the 3rd level. This time, they chose to participate, then it became the 5th level. Here, Chiami's father, under the influence of my friend, no longer wandered aimlessly. I opened the door and finally returned to the real world. The story should have ended here. What I did not expect was that Chiami's imaginary father followed as well. He raised his hand toward Chiami, who was lying down, absorbing memories about her dog. It turned out that after the 2 had departed, my younger brother prepared to burn this place down. Unexpectedly, he encountered Chiami's imaginary father. The 2 began a struggle of life and death, and in the end, Beard brother was killed. At this point, Qiao Shui and He Ji arrived at Chiami's house. She just saw the imaginary father devouring something, then hitting him to the ground with a stick. Chiami was awakened by the sound. The imaginary father hoped to live with Chiami, and she said she could control her appetite. Thus, Chiami could properly take care of the chicks and survive in the real world. Chiami disagreed with his request. Locking the imaginary father in the underground room, how to deal with him became a problem for the 3 of them. My sister suggested killing him, forcing Chiami to confront the truth. But Chiami could not bear it because my mother had called me this morning, revealing the truth about my father's death. My father had been ruined by his business. Not only did this family owe money, but even the house and Chiami. I had lost all the money I spent on my studies. To avoid burdening the family, my father died as a reaction to medicine, insurance fraud, and debts. This also helped my mother and doctor endure the hardest time. Even if my father in front of me was not real, Chiami still could not bring herself to kill him. At this point, Qiao Shui stepped forward to find a solution, sending him into the old haunted house. He had no choice but to agree to this solution. Qiao Shui led the 2 of them to the door of the haunted house. When Sister He arrived, the haunted house disappeared. The next figure would have to wait 1 year. Chiami was trapped here for a full year, like my younger brother's wife. I had accepted life here. Every time an unimportant memory was disrupted before each distorted memory, Chiami would write down what she forgot in her notebook. She was allowed to live here with Qiao Shui. Today, they discovered that the city had taken on a new shape. This also meant that the haunted house had reappeared in reality, a new location on the world map.
Together, Hey Jie had not given up searching for the haunted house. Today, she finally discovered some clues about it. The doors were still full of rivals. To help save Xiaomei, she entered without hesitation. In room 6, shortly afterward, I met Xiao Shui. Then the 2 of them passed through the strange iron barrel. From their conversation, it turned out Xiao Shui was an orphan. He had wanted a home since childhood. Later, they went to retrieve him. But his childhood had been unhappy. The people inside the iron barrel were his foster family. The imaginary man was trapped inside the iron barrel. It was impossible to absorb Xiao Shuai's memories. No threats existed here toward him. Gradually, he began to like this place. He would not age here. There was no need to worry about outside pressures. One could even obtain whatever one desired. Watching Xiao Shui, He Jie decided not only to take Xiaomei out of this place, but also planned to burn it down after leaving. Truly, Xiao Shui could not agree with such actions. So he confronted He Jie, then locked her in a small dark room. He Jie saw a person transform into her once again. The white ball of fear, Baiqiu, could no longer consume memories after a whole year. He would be extremely thirsty. Though He Jie had captured everyone, yet after a final conversation with Xiaomei, she abandoned all her wandering impulses. In the end, he kicked the white ball and finally found Xiaomei. But Xiaomei seemed unwilling to leave. To make him see Xiao Shuai's true face, Sister Fei took her to the iron barrel inside a house. A woman with lifeless eyes was painting. She still said that Xiao Shui would return soon. It turned out that Xiao Shui always lived in this space. He continued to bring people here from the outside world. This was to take advantage of these opportunities, winning trophies, maintaining a haunted house. And this woman was Xiao Shuai's former girlfriend. After discussing this, He Jie returned to Xiao Mei's house. Knowing that she wanted Xiao Mei to leave, the imaginary father had to be killed. Xiao Mei's father did not resist because his love was real. He knew that if his daughter continued like this, soon his memories would vanish, leaving him a walking corpse without feelings, knowing that this imaginary person was not a flesh and blood human, without a heart. This made He Jie unable to act for a while. Meanwhile, Xiao Shui found Xiao Mei near the iron barrel. At this time, 6 women, whose memories had flowed out of the house, all of whom were his former girlfriends, appeared. Xiao Shui still wanted to tease a heartbroken Xiao Mei. moving toward him as he opened the back of the barrel. The black thief who arrived gave Xiao Shuai a knife. Xiao Mei's imaginary father seized him tightly. Then Xiao Shuai's family emerged from the iron barrel. They were starving and thirsty. He held Xiao Shuai's head tightly, beginning to absorb all his memories greedily, as black powder covered the entire path. Eventually, Xiao Shuai became a walking corpse with no memories. Seeing this, the imaginary father was terrified, even though he controlled his hunger well, but it remained a threat to my daughter. He did not want to see his daughter become a zombie. Then the imaginary father tied a rope around his legs. The last time I committed suicide was because of bankruptcy. I did not want to burden my family. This time, he hoped Xiao Mei could end her life. He knew that if this continued, soon he would erase my daughter's memories. Even if the father before me was fake, for Xiao Mei, her father's love felt real. This made him hesitate in taking measures to help Xiao Mei abandon her wandering impulses. Hey Jia, her good friend, stepped forward to help Xiao Mei. Why did he tie the rope around his legs? Perhaps because he knew, as an imaginary person, he would not die. The rope around his legs could let him fall into the deepest place endlessly. This would permanently remove the threat to my daughter.